Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We are going to talk about a perennial favorite here, which is really about the use of email, but more generally about forming new relationships with people. And so for those of you who are here for the first time, I'm trying to get rid of this. Let's see how to get rid of this overlay. There we go. I'm Roy. I'm a startup investor in the future work. Aaron, who was here with us last week, I think, or earlier this week. I don't remember what it was.
Monday.
Yeah, Monday. Geez, time flies. Is spending the summer with us as a fellow. And every day we answer one of your questions about work. And so today, Aaron, take it away.
All right. So this day's question is, what's the best way to ask someone to make an intro for me?
Yeah. So many times in your working life or otherwise, you want to meet somebody. And you want to get to know them. You may have different reasons. You may want their advice. You may think they have a job for you. You may want to sell them something, whatever. And the currency of the realm is forging a real, authentic relationship with that person. And so oftentimes, and I'm on the receiving end of these all the time, and on the giving end of them a lot too. We connect founders, we back to others. In fact, I'm teaching this class through Speakeasy that we promoted yesterday, which is now sold out, but you can sign up for the wait list if you want to talk more about how to do this. The kind of fundamental way I think about it is think about the thing you want. So let's take, for example, you want to, you have a new product you're building, right, Aaron? You got like a side project you're building and you want somebody to give you feedback on it, a product expert to give you feedback on it. And then the thing I think about is from their perspective, why would they want to do that? And, there's this tip that goes around the internet of like, oh, when you reach out cold to somebody, you should offer them to like have coffee about a thing that you know about that they might want to know about. And that's the right idea, but it's kind of a bullshit implementation of that idea. That's the right idea in the sense you're trying to think, what does the other person want? But then you're offering them this thin thing that just seems kind of transactional for the sake of. And typically, if you think deeply about what the other person wants, you can come up with some shot at an authentic answer. Sometimes the best answer is they're going to do a favor for the introducer. So like if I was introducing you to a product friend of mine in product to give feedback, they might do it as a favor to me, which is fine. Let's just know what that is. Sometimes they might want to do it because they have some point of connection with you. They went to the same school that you did. They had the same idea that you're working on, whatever it is. That might be another reason. And then based on whatever that reason is, and there's so many of them that it could be, you then want to write, and let's just assume you're doing it by email because that's often how it's done, although Twitter DM, same principle applies. You want to write. Ideally, you have somebody who can introduce you, somebody who's in between. And you also think about how does the recipient think of that person? And also, why is it in the introducer's interest to do this? Well, in my case, I work with you. I want to do right by you. I want you to be successful. So I basically do whatever you ask. So that's my reason. But then you want to write something, and I call this a forward intro email, and we can link to the blog post about it, which is basically you speaking in your voice to the person you're requesting an intro from, saying, hey, here's who I want the intro from. Here's why. Here's a little bit of the context they need. And then the introducer, who in this case might be me, will hit forward and say, Aaron's a great guy. He's spending a few months with us. I'd love it if you would talk to him if it's a favor. Or maybe it's, hey, I noticed you worked on an idea like this. He might benefit from your wisdom, something like that. You think of what it is and you know what the reason is. And that's kind of the chain. And you can apply that chain in different ways. I'll also just say there are times when you don't know anybody in common with the person. You just got to write them cold. I wrote somebody cold last night. Then you try to do the same thing in a way that is personalized to them as much as possible, as as succinct as possible, because you want to be respectful of their time. And the last thing I'd say, and this is a pet peeve of mine, is subject lines. Let's talk about email subject lines. Actually, I think we should do a whole separate, this is not advice one on email subject lines. People tend to write the email subject line to describe what's in the email. That is a mistake. The number of emails I have in my inbox from some guy named Dave that say intro in the subject line, it's like, yeah, I know it's an intro. But what I need is something descriptive in the context of comparing to all the other subjects in the email inbox. So if it's like Aaron Francis to discuss new product development, then that guy knows what it is. And so that, that intro thing that you sometimes see where people say like one person's name plus, or like the weird two symbol. I don't even know what that is. The other person's name, that's another example of it. But those are some different ways it works. And I know, Aaron, you've been a good relationship builder, so you must have your own tricks on this. And I'm curious how you go about building these.
I feel like you hit the nail right on the head when it comes to being relatable with people. I sometimes use LinkedIn to first look someone up. Let's say if they're trying to connect me with someone, just to see like what our interests might be, what a talking point might be to come from. Because in a sense, this is an elevator pitch to get someone's help and get them to know them. So you have to also be able to present yourself in a way, all right, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm working on, instead of just being like, hello, nice to meet you. You know, give a little bit of information, a little detail, context to what you're actually want to, discuss.
And I will say, this doesn't always come through, but when you put in that relatable humanity, people can see it. Like I can smell when the person is just not even the cut and paste errors where it's like Roy space comma. I'm like, I know your mail merge has a space by my name, but like where I can smell when it's not actually customized. We have noted you are a future of work investor. It's like, yeah, you ran a screen on Signal or something like that. And the more you make it heartfelt and personal, sometimes even when it's not even written in a specialized to me kind of way of like any nods to anything about me, I can tell that they've personalized it. There was a woman from a nonprofit who reached out to me cold, and I engaged because it was so thoughtful. And I had to write her back and be like, hey, was this just for me or for many people? She's like, no, it's just for you. And here's why. But it was so thoughtful that I knew something was up. So I think that tone and spirit of it really does go a long way. And then there's trial and error, and not everything's going to work. I have tons of emails that I've sent to people asking for an intro where I never heard back. You just got to, be like the goldfish, forget 10-second memory, move on and do the next thing.
Try again.
Exactly. So that's today's This Is Not Advice. And thank you, Aaron, for pinch hitting and joining. Our other teammate is stuck with bad Wi-Fi in a glamorous location. So really appreciate the last minute pinch hitting. And the reason we say it's not advice is we're not telling you what to do. We're just sharing our own experiences of what works. We'll share the blog post and to be continued. Thank you, Aaron.
All right, no problem.